Harrison Ford is really good at playing his movie characters. He makes them feel real and alive. You can see this in the Indiana Jones movies, where he brings the character to life in the best way possible. You, son of a Harrison Ford, is a great actor, and he has his own rules about how things should be done. He doesn't like it when other people don't follow his rules. Some of his movie partners have broken his rules, and now he doesn't like them anymore. From actors who worked with him in movies to new stars and even famous actors. These are the 7 actors that Harrison Ford doesn't like the most. You might be surprised to see who made this list. Starting at number 7, we have Shia LaBeouf. Her name is the one I picked. You got a problem with it? Harrison Ford is known for being gruff and saying what he thinks in interviews. He didn't hold back when talking about his Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull co-star, Shia LaBeouf. The fight between them became public after LaBeouf said bad things about the 2008 movie after it came out. LaBeouf said in interviews that the movie wasn't good, and even said that Ford and director Steven Spielberg didn't do a good job. Of course, this made Ford angry when he heard about what was happening. After LaBeouf's criticism, Ford responded in a mean way in an interview, calling LaBeouf's comments unprofessional. He said he was disappointed in his young co-star, saying that an actor should be loyal to the creative team and the group working together. Jones is nominated to take home some golden popcorn. And if you want to check out all things to do with the movie awards, you log on to Movie Awards. MTV.Ford believed that complaining publicly, especially about a movie that took a lot of work from many people, was like betraying them. He said that LaBeouf's comments were not only disrespectful, but also showed that he was immature. While Ford didn't try to attack him personally, his words showed that he really disapproved of him as an important person in the movie business. He made it clear that talking badly about the film and everyone involved was not the right way to handle being unhappy. Their once promising on-screen father-son relationship turned into a cold off-screen distance. Now, enough about this man. Let's move on to number 6, which is Alec Baldwin. I know it's not true. Not true. No truth to that at all. Okay, this all started with The Hunt for Red October, where Alec Baldwin played the CIA analyst Jack Ryan. The film was a hit. Critics loved it, and fans thought Baldwin would return for the next movie. But when Patriot Games came to theaters in 1992, there was a new face in the role, Harrison Ford. On the surface, it looked like a simple casting change, but behind the scenes, it was messy. Baldwin said he planned to come back. He wrote in his book that he was trying to make a deal to play the role again when he suddenly learned that Ford had been cast behind his back. He believed Ford actively asked for the role and pushed Paramount to get rid of him. Baldwin even said Ford was not a great guy and accused him of being cold, strategic, and opportunistic. Music Ford, true to form, didn't say much publicly, but his silence said everything. It's clear Harrison didn't like being dragged into a public fight, especially over a role he went on to make famous. And based on how fast he jumped into Patriot Games and clear and present danger, he had no hesitation about stepping over Baldwin to take the part. They've never worked together, never made up, and to this day, Harrison Ford has never publicly shown Alec Baldwin much respect. That's not just distance, that's cold dismissal. Let's have a look at number 5, Sean Young. During the filming of the original, Harrison was a big pain in the butt. During the filming of Blade Runner in 1982, the relationship between Harrison Ford and Sean Young has long been described as tense and uncomfortable by both actors and others involved in making the movie. The tension between Ford and Young reportedly came from a lack of chemistry and very different personalities. Ford was already a well-known star by the time of Blade Runner, known for being quiet and professional. Young, by contrast, was relatively new to the film industry and had a more outspoken and unconventional approach to her role and interactions. Their different working styles on set may have clashed on set, contributing to an overall cold atmosphere. One of the most talked about parts of their strange relationship revolves around the famous love scene between their characters, Rick Deckard and Rachel. It was reportedly very awkward to film and has often been criticized for its mechanical and uncomfortable execution. Director Ridley Scott even admitted that the scene was not romantic, but intentionally cold, which made the discomfort between the actors even worse. Some critics and fans interpreted it as forced, and both Ford and Young appeared to agree that the experience was unpleasant. Over time, rumors spread, suggesting that Ford disliked Young off-screen as well. However, Ford has largely remained tight-lipped about the matter, offering little public commentary. Young, on the other hand, has spoken more openly about the experience, often framing herself as the outsider in a male-dominated production that was not particularly welcoming. And years later, she still speaks about the cold nature of Harrison Ford towards her while they were on set. Moving on, we have number 4, Josh Hartnett. Harrison Ford gave me a hard time pretty much the whole time we were shooting. Harrison Ford and Josh Hartnett, co-stars in the 2003 action comedy film Hollywood Homicide, reportedly had a very strained working relationship throughout the production. While the movie tried to blend buddy cop humor with a fast-paced mystery, the real tension between the two actors spilled over into their on-screen chemistry. Ford, a veteran actor known for his no-nonsense professionalism, was reportedly frustrated by Hartnett's laid-back attitude and approach to acting. He was said to be irritated by what he saw as a lack of commitment or seriousness from his younger co-star. Josh Hartnett, at the time rising in Hollywood as a heartthrob, allegedly found Ford's attitude overly gruff and dismissive. According to various reports and behind-the-scenes accounts, the two clashed over everything from work ethic to personal style. He likes to take control, so he's the guy in charge. Ford preferred efficiency and minimal rehearsal, while Hartnett leaned more towards being spontaneous and having creative freedom. These differences created a visible rift between them that neither tried particularly hard to hide. Promotional appearances further highlighted their mutual discomfort. Interviews were often awkward, with minimal interaction and stiff body language. Observers noted that they appeared disengaged and cold toward each other, which fueled speculation of genuine animosity, while neither actor publicly confirmed outright hostility. Ford later hinted in interviews that working with Hartnett was not ideal, and Hartnett too has subtly acknowledged that the experience was difficult. Ultimately, a lack of working together between the two translated into a film that felt uneven and lacked the dynamic friendship expected from a buddy cop duo. Hollywood Homicide received mixed reviews and underperformed at the box office with many critics, citing the visible tension between the leads as a key flaw. The poor collaboration remains a noted example of how behind-the-scenes friction can affect the final product on screen. Let's have a look at number 3, which is none other than Brad Pitt. Never manages to look. I'm in a bind. I don't have time to explain. I'll just get my gear and I'll clear. Brad Pitt is a famous American actor and film producer known for his versatility and charisma on screen. He rose to fame in the 1990s with roles in films like Legends of the Fall and Fight Club. Brad Pitt worked with Harrison Ford in the 1997 thriller The Devil's Own, and it seemed like a blockbuster match. Two Hollywood heavyweights sharing the screen in a tale of political intrigue and personal conflict. But behind the camera, their relationship was anything but harmonious. The trouble started long before the cameras even rolled. Pitt, who had signed on to the film early, had concerns about the script. He wanted changes, big ones. Ford, coming on later as both actor and executive producer, didn't appreciate being met with a co-star who was already pushing for rewrites. Ford believed the story should focus on his character, a New York cop with moral dilemmas. Pitt, however, was drawn to the emotional complexity of his character, an Irish Republican Army operative navigating dangerous loyalties. This creative tug-of-war became the film's unofficial subplot. Their working relationship was strained, professional but distant. On set, the two reportedly kept to themselves, rarely interacting unless the scene demanded it. There were no playful banters. Between takes, no shared laughs, just a cold, professional silence. You know, we only hear about the ones who go off the track. That's the way that job goes. I'm afraid the tension seeped into production with scenes being rewritten on the fly. Shooting schedules delayed, and the film's tone shifting with every seed. Clash of vision. In later interviews, neither actor minced words. Pitt described the production as the most irresponsible bit of filmmaking he'd ever been a part of. Ford, ever the seasoned veteran, was more measured but unimpressed with Pitt's approach, subtly criticizing his insistence on shaping the story. Despite the star power and gritty premise, The Devil's Own landed with a thud, plagued by its internal discord. Critics noted the lack of chemistry between the leads, a telling reflection of their off-screen friction. Years have passed, and while both actors went on to immense success, their time spent together remains a cautionary tale in Hollywood. Talent alone can't carry a film if egos and visions pull in opposite directions. Now, let's have a look at number 2. Ridley Scott. Not only did Harrison Ford have clashes with his fellow actors, but he also did the same with directors while filming. The making of Blade Runner in 1982 brought together two movie powerhouses. Harrison Ford, fresh off the success of Star Wars and Raiders of the Lost Ark, and Ridley Scott, the visionary director behind Alien. On paper, it seemed like a dream collaboration. But behind the scenes, it was more of a creative battleground. Then a harmonious set with tensions simmering between actor and director throughout the shoot. Ford was used to a certain rhythm and clarity in filmmaking. Scott, on the other hand, brought a European art house sensibility to the gritty science fiction noir, focusing heavily on mood, lighting, and visual symbolism. To Ford, this often meant vague direction and endless takes with little concern for the actor's input or comfort. The disconnect quickly became obvious. Harris and I fell out only because I was the new kid on the block. I had never shot in Hollywood before, so that was my first film in Hollywood. Much of the conflict came from how differently they viewed Deckard, the film's central character. Ford wanted to ground him to make him human and relatable. Scott, meanwhile, was crafting something more ambiguous, perhaps even suggesting that Deckard himself was a replicant. Harrison Ford stars in Ridley Scott's new motion picture Blade Runner. Set in the year 2019 or 2020.2020. Yeah, Todd Ford disliked this idea, feeling it robbed the character of emotional depth. He later said he wasn't happy with the script and that the ambiguity frustrated him deeply. On set, the tension was obvious. Miscommunication was frequent, and neither man seemed particularly eager to smooth things over. Ford described the filming process as a long slog, and it showed in his weary performance, which many now praise for its worn-down realism. But at the time, it was the product of creative exhaustion. Matters only worsened in post-production when a voiceover narration was added to Blade Runner, a move that Ford hated and left him feeling betrayed. Still, the original Blade Runner remains a masterpiece born of tension. Their conflict, while difficult, ironically, helped create one of sci-fi cinema's most enduring classics. Finally, for the grand finale, number 1, George Lucas. I don't think I'd be stupid enough to go back and redo anything. George Lucas was a director whom Harrison Ford once worked with, while Harrison Ford and George Lucas created movie magic. Together with Star Wars and Indiana Jones, their working relationship was far from smooth. Behind the iconic collaborations lay a mix of creative clashes, mutual respect and biting sarcasm, often from Ford's side. Their dynamic was not built on warm friendship, but rather on a shared commitment to storytelling, often clouded by frustration. Ford never held back his feelings about Lucas's writing. Famously, after struggling with one of Lucas's dense technical lines in Star Wars, Ford snapped, "George, you can type this, but you sure can't say it." "Well, I did say to George, you can type, but you can't say it." It was a moment of comic relief on set, but it hinted at deeper tensions. Ford felt the dialogue was clunky and unnatural, and he wasn't shy about saying so. Lucas, meticulous and reserved, didn't always appreciate Ford's bluntness. The two also had different approaches to filmmaking. Lucas was methodical, focused on world-building and effects. Ford was all about character and realism. This led to frequent debates, especially as the Star Wars franchise grew. Ford famously wanted Han Solo killed off in Return of the Jedi, believing it would add weight to the story. Lucas refused. He saw Han as part of the franchise's beating heart and a future merchandising goldmine. Despite the creative friction, both men respected each other's talents. Their clashes were less about ego and more about vision. Over time, their relationship mellowed and they reunited for more Indiana Jones films. Still, the early years were tense, a mix of brilliance and butting heads. Are you looking forward to watching a Han Solo movie as a fan? Be watching it as a nerve, as a nurse. Uneasy Alliance became part of Hollywood legend. A gruff, no-nonsense actor challenging a quiet, cerebral filmmaker. It wasn't always friendly, but it worked. And in that friction, some of cinema's most beloved characters were born. While Harrison Ford is known for his professionalism, he hasn't looked away from voicing frustrations with certain co-stars over the years. From the creative clashes to personality differences, his behind-the-scenes tensions with actors, directors, and others reveal the challenges of working in high-stakes Hollywood productions.